At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Welcome in to Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Each and every weekday, hanging out with you noon to 3 Eastern, right here on SiriusXM channel 375 and all of our great radio affiliates across the country. It's Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. It's a Friday. We're having a great time. If you want to join the show today, all calls welcome on a Friday with Bleck and Abdalla. And you can call us at 310-840-4910. Let's get started with this, Abdalla. The main storyline in the NFL right now is everyone has their eyes on the Las Vegas Raiders and what they will do with Max Crosby. Are the Raiders going to decide to trade the star edge rusher, or will they keep him for the future? I think most people heading towards next week in the NFL Combine believe Max Crosby will be dealt at some point in this offseason.
Well, yeah, because all of the head coaches, all of the GMs, all of the front office staff, they're starting to pack their bags and get ready to head to Indianapolis. And with that, bring your best offers. Bring your best offers to these the bars, the restaurants, St. Elmo's, one of the most famous restaurants in Indianapolis, and bring that to
one of
the table.
The only.
It's like the only, yeah.
It's the only place people go out to in Indianapolis.
It's like, get a reservation like a month ago. Otherwise, you're not eating while you're there. And come there and bring your best offer to the Raiders that week, because I'm sure they'll be open for business for Max Crosby. And that's when you'll start hearing some of this smoke and some of these rumors that teams are making offers for Max Crosby. And it could be a number of teams, because you went through the list yesterday. There's about 11, 12 teams or so that need to upgrade at the defensive line at pass rusher. And Max Crosby is one of the best that are available. You know, Trey Hendrickson is a free agent. Bradley Chubb is a free agent. And the one that is rumored to want out of his situation with the Raiders is Max Crosby.
Yeah, the list goes like this. So this was from an article in The Athletic earlier this week. For the teams, for every team in the NFL, what's the biggest need heading into this offseason? There were 11 teams listed where pass rusher was the number one need for a team. And that's Carolina, Chicago, Cincinnati, Dallas, Indianapolis, Kansas City, New England, San Francisco, Tampa Bay, Tennessee, and Washington. All of those teams, the number one need for said team is a pass rusher. Many of those teams are competitive. Many of those teams have Super Bowl aspirations. And essentially, someone like Max Crosby will be the chip to push them over the top, to be the guy, the last piece for a lot of these teams in trying to get to the Super Bowl, or in Kansas City's situation, back to winning a Super Bowl. New England getting back to that spot that they were in this season. So I saw this earlier today on ESPN.com. So the article is trade offers for Raiders Max Crosby, 4 potential new teams. So these are, the way this article is set up is that they take four analysts at ESPN, and they have them come up with their own trade scenario that would work for Max Crosby. And they talk about why the Raiders would want to trade Crosby. And not only would you get back draft capital, but you also, by dealing Crosby, could save $30 million of cap space for the Raiders. And the Raiders have the second most cap space to begin with. So if you're starting new head coach, Clint Kubiak, you're going to have a new quarterback in Mendoza, the number 1 pick. Why wouldn't you want the most cap space available and more draft capital as you move forward? So they ask 4 different people at ESPN about their hypothetical trade offers for Max Crosby. And the first one is Jeremy Fowler. He suggests that the Raiders will make a trade with the Chicago Bears, and that the Raiders would get wide receiver DJ Moore, a 2026 first-round pick, and a 2027 third-round pick, and the Chicago Bears would get back Max Crosby. So that's the first trade offer on the table in this article on ESPN.com. It's also kind of what we've seen to this point as like the leader in the clubhouse as far as rumors go for teams pairing up and making a deal for Crosby.
Yeah, and that makes sense because, you know, they get a wide receiver, you get a weapon for Mendoza, assuming that they draft Fernando Mendoza with the number 1 pick. You get another first-round pick where you can then draft an offensive lineman. They had one of the worst offensive lines in the NFL last year, so you need to be able to protect Fernando Mendoza. And then you get a third-round pick in next year's draft in 2027, and you're also not giving up any draft capital in the future. You're not giving up a third-round pick this year, a fourth-round pick this year. All you're giving up is Max Crosby. You don't have to worry about anything else. You're not giving up anything extra. You're just giving up the player. You're getting 2 picks in return, and you're getting a player who, when we get into some of these future offers here, already has a contract, which is key here. DJ Moore already has a contract. He was already extended by the Chicago Bears. They already reworked his deal and everything like that. DJ Moore has already been paid. So that's important to remember once we get into a couple of these other deals here that are being proposed by a couple of these other NFL insiders. And I think that that's important for these moving forward here.
Okay, so that's the first one on the table with Chicago. The next trade option for Max Crosby, so this is from an article on ESPN.com posted today, giving 4 different trade options for Max Crosby. The second, the Dallas Cowboys. So Dan Graziano suggests that the Raiders would get from the Cowboys wide receiver George Pickens, a 2026 first-round pick, so number 20 overall. And then the Cowboys would get back in return Max Crosby, a 2026 second-round pick. So you get the player and a pick back to the Cowboys. This is a trade offer we talked about yesterday. I brought up to you yesterday, should the Cowboys franchise tag George Pickens and then deal him to the Raiders? And we also talked about with the Cowboys having those 2 first-round picks, that the number 20 pick could be the pick that they use to trade for Max Crosby. So I think Graziano is onto something here, suggesting that Dallas could be a team in play for Crosby.
And this is what I mentioned just now, is that if you trade George Pickens, you then have to pay him if you're the Raiders. So you get your first-round pick from the Cowboys, you get George Pickens, you're sending back Crosby, you also have to send a second-round pick, but then also you have to sit there and negotiate with George Pickens. The good thing about getting DJ Moore back to me from the Bears is that you're done. You've negotiated. You don't have to do anything. The player comes in. There's no contract needed to be signed. You don't have to worry about that. The problem with getting George Pickens is you have to then sit down and negotiate a contract. And that could be worrisome. Like, you have the money, obviously. Like,
Yeah.
the Raiders have the money.
Yep.
That's not the issue. The issue is how much money is he going to want? The years, all that kind of stuff. It's just an extra headache to have to deal with that you don't have to deal with if you trade with DJ Moore.
2 more offers in the article that we need to run through here. Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports talking about Max Crosby, possible trade destinations. Benjamin Solak, good friend of the Bleck Abdalla show.
Shout out.
He's our guy. We love Solak and his football knowledge and his breakdown. He suggests that the Raiders trade with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Raiders would get back wide receiver Chris Godwin. They would get a 2026 first-round pick, which the Bucs have the 15th overall pick in this year's draft. And then they would also get a 2027 second-round pick. The Buccaneers would get back Max Crosby and a 5th-round selection in 2027. So that's also an interesting team that we haven't really talked about. But Abdalla, we did have the Buccaneers on the short list of teams where their biggest need was edge rusher in this offseason, and they're a team that's looking to get back to the playoffs.
So he just signed a 3-year deal back in March of 2025.
Who, Godwin?
Chris Godwin. He is also the oldest of the 3 wide receivers that are just been proposed. DJ Moore's a year younger than Chris Godwin, and obviously Pickens is the youngest. He's 25. So, but he needs a new contract. His contract is up. The Cowboys would have to franchise Pickens right now. So this to me is, I rank this deal 3rd. If I'm the Raiders looking at this deal, this one comes into me from the Buccaneers as the 3rd one, just because of the age of the wide receiver. And listen, Godwin's fine, and it's not a bad deal. It's one of the better picks. It's the highest pick that you would get back because it's the 15th overall pick as opposed to the 20th, and the Bears is 25th. So it's the highest pick that you're getting back. But if I'm looking for a player to pair with Fernando Mendoza, I am looking at maybe wanting a younger player in George Pickens, or maybe looking at DJ Moore, who's a year younger. That might not matter as much to them.
We're talking football. If you want to join us at 310-840-4910, where do you think Max Crosby will land in this offseason? We have one more trade offer from this article on ESPN.com. It comes from Seth Walder. He says that the Raiders should make a trade with the Chargers. So the Raiders would trade a 2026 second-round pick, so the 55th pick overall, a 2026 6th-round pick, and a 2027 5th-round pick, and the Chargers would get back Max Crosby. The only other thing I would add to this caveat with this trade selection is usually teams within the same division do not trade high-level stars like Max Crosby between each other. So the deal would be Raiders would get back a 2nd-round pick this season, a 6th-round pick this season, and in 2027, a 5th-rounder for Max Crosby. That was Seth Walder's offer within this article.
Click.
Yeah, I don't see this one happening at all. I think...
you didn't say the word first at all.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the word. I heard 2nd, I heard 6th, and I heard 5th.
Now, if you roll to me that the Raiders are getting 2 2nd-round picks...
Yeah, okay.
I could be persuaded based on that.
Maybe.
But just a 2nd, a 6th, and a 7th?
I didn't hear the word first. Did you hear the word first?
That's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, no thank you.
So within the article, they then have, after all the different options, they have the verdict. They give a verdict. They give a ruling. And their ruling is of those options. So the Chargers, you have the Buccaneers, you have the Cowboys, and you have the Bears. The verdict gives the best option for this trade for Max Crosby for the Raiders would be the offer made by Dallas, that the Dallas Cowboys have the best option to trade to franchise tag George Pickens, attach the 20th overall selection for this year's draft in the 1st round. Those 2 items, because Pickens is young enough still, that if you give him a new contract and you kind of prepare for the future that he's going to be your number 1 wide receiver in Vegas, that's the best option. Dallas and their offer would be better than Chicago or Tampa or any other offer on the table.
It makes the most sense on paper because he is the youngest wide receiver. You have a lot of money to spend. It splits the difference on the picks. Tampa has the best pick at 15. The Bears have the worst pick at 25. This is pick number 20. So it splits the difference right there. The problem for me is, because the money's not an issue for the Raiders. The problem for me is, do you want a more veteran wide receiver who can not necessarily teach Fernando Mendoza, but is more reliable and has seen more action and is less of a problem than George Pickens has been? Do you want that for your quarterback? And apparently, Walter doesn't care.
No, right. Right.
So, he doesn't care, right? And the Raiders, historically, have not cared.
Oh, yeah.
They're the Raiders, so they have not cared. And so George Pickens might fit there. If I'm doing this, and selfishly, I'm biased, we're broadcasting out of the great city of Chicago, and I am a Bears fan. I would like Max Crosby on my Bears team, so I would make the Bears move. But I think that DJ Moore makes the most sense. He's a good wide receiver. He's a veteran wide receiver. He's got a very good contract. I think it's a good team-friendly contract for the Raiders. And I think he's at a good age, and I think it's a good enough pick for the Raiders to get back.
Former GM in the NFL, Mike Tannenbaum, he was on ESPN television this morning talking about this very topic, talking about the Raiders and trading Max Crosby.
Look, if I'm running the Raiders, I'm drafting Fernando Mendoza, who I love. I think he'll be a great player, but I'm not necessarily playing him on opening day. We still got Geno Smith. And when you look at the division and you say Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and oh, by the way, the Broncos were the team that were almost in the Super Bowl. We have a lot of holes to fill. You got to fix the offensive line, to me, to really think about playing the quarterback. So if I can move on from Max Crosby and get multiple high picks, even though he's a great culture and tone setter, you really got to consider it.
So that was Mike Tannenbaum earlier today on ESPN television, and that kind of philosophy would lead you to believe that the Raiders need to find someone who's willing to give up multiple high-level picks. And Dallas is a team, but I'm doubting Dallas would want to give up 2 first-round picks to land Max Crosby.
No.
I think when you look at the rest of the first round and the options that are there in the first round as far as teams who have multiple picks, I'm not sure if that's really going to be there. I think the best offers for Crosby will be pairing a good player, with a first-round pick. I think that's going to be the best way for the Raiders to cash in on this. And then if that's the case, the Cowboys offer is a more desirable offer than the Bears offer. It just is based on where that pick is located. If it's Dallas giving up the 20th pick, Chicago can only offer the 25th pick.
It is, yes.
So I think Dallas would edge out Chicago in that situation, although Tampa has the 15th pick. Yeah. And if Tampa wants to get involved, that would make a lot of sense too.
The problem is George Pickens. George Pickens is playing on the franchise tag. And if you trade him there, obviously he doesn't have a say in where he's traded. But he's on the franchise tag.
Yeah, but you would make this deal assuming you're giving a long-term contract to George Pickens.
You can assume a lot of things. And
I wouldn't want to do that.
What happens when you assume things? We all know that.
You turn into a butt.
No, you make an ass out of Chris. And and that happens.
Is that the saying?
That's the saying. Look it up. Yeah. That's the origin of the saying.
All right.
It's actually Christopher because it's a much
from old timing
saying. It's an
olden Christopher.
It's an olden saying.
Yes.
But George Pickens is younger, and I highly doubt he wants to sit through a rebuild and could hold. There is a chance he wants to not play there. He could hold out. He might not want to play for the Raiders. He might want to go to a contender that has a bunch of money and want to play there. DJ Moore is under contract for a few years. You can just send him there and trade him there, and he has to play there. There's no holding out. He just has to play there. He's under contract there for a few years. He just has to do it.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. You know, the story in the NBA has been essentially All-Star Weekend, and to this point in the season, the only thing people are talking about is tanking. The games were back last night. We had a full slate of NBA games, and still, the only topic of conversation that people want to talk about is fixing the NBA with tanking. I have an idea for the NBA, and it is right there in front of them. It is a simple solution on how the NBA can fix tanking. I'll tell you about that next.
Number 4, Arizona. Number 2, Houston. A top 5 showdown. with March level intensity. Tomorrow at 3 Eastern on Westwood One and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
I have a very obvious solution for the NBA and their issue with tanking. It's all anyone talks about with the NBA. There were great games last night, stellar performances. Let's talk about tanking. Let's fix the NBA. The NBA is always broken when the football months are going on, but then when we get to May and June, the NBA is not necessarily broken. I'm pushing back on that.
Everything is always broken because during the All-Star break for baseball, baseball's broken.
Every year. Every year. We got to fix baseball.
You can set your watch to it. Baseball's broken during the All-Star game, except for next year when there's baseball.
You're right.
And then there won't be an All-Star game. So now, when the All-Star games happen, that's when things are broken.
Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. All right. My idea for the NBA to fix tanking, I think, is so super simple, and it's right there in front of them. It eliminates the issue that they have right now. If you take the odds for the lottery, the draft lottery, and you make every team equal, who's tanking? There is no tanking. If every team has equal odds to land the number one pick, it's the same odds for every team, and you keep the lotto, and you throw all the names in the hat, and you pull one out each and every year, and it's totally random. It could be anyone. It could be the defending champs. It could be a team that's been a loser for decades. Doesn't matter.
You're ridiculous.
Equal odds for everyone.
No.
Who's tanking?
That's ridiculous.
There is no tanking.
That's ridiculous.
Solved. Fixed. Done. You don't need all this. So did you see the story yesterday from ESPN reporting that Adam Silver is informing league general managers, all 30 of them, that the NBA has plans to make anti-tanking rules and changes for next season? So there's a lot of things that are on the table. Some of those ideas, and per the sources to Shams Charania, is saying that those who were with knowledge of the meeting on Thursday, here are some of the ideas that the NBA is discussing to curb tanking. They may take first-round draft picks can be protected only for the top 4 or the top 14 plus selections. Lottery odds would be frozen at the trade deadline or perhaps a later date. Stupid idea. There's no longer allowing a team to pick in the top 4 in consecutive years or after consecutive bottom 3 finishes. So if you're bad, you only get that top 4 pick once, and then you can't get it in a back-to-back year, which I think is also dumb, because then you look at the teams who are the best in each conference right now, Oklahoma City, Detroit, San Antonio, all have picked at the top of the draft recently in multiple seasons. Okay, stupid idea.
Okay.
How about this? Teams can't pick in the top 4 a year after making the conference finals. So if you're good and your franchise is smart, you can't be good or smart. So you're not being rewarded for your success. So that's dumb. The lottery odds would be allocated on 2 years worth of records. So they would do the draft odds based on how many different your record is in back-to-back years.
Okay.
Idiotic.
Yeah.
And then the final idea that's there reported by ESPN.com. Flatten odds for all lottery teams.
It's the least likely.
That's the smartest thing you could do.
No, it's not.
Now, I threw in there the non-lottery teams, which I get it. It's a little ridiculous to say every team in the league would have the equal odds.
It's ridiculous.
But if you want to limit that to just the teams who missed the playoffs and they all have the same odds, I think that's a great idea. That right there eliminates tanking. Why would you tank if you have the same odds as being the worst record in the NBA or being the 13th worst record in the NBA? No one's tanking that.
But then
there's no incentive. The incentive would be to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
That's the incentive.
Well, no, the incentive is to just miss the playoffs and be mediocre.
But I think the avalanche of uproar and concern over tanking would be so much less if there was a team that knew that they weren't quite going to get to the playoffs at the end of the season with a week to go, resting a couple of starters. No one's going to give a crap about the Charlotte Hornets in the final week of the season not playing a couple of starters. The problem is the night-to-night now in the regular season when you have teams like Utah, teams like Chicago that are just blatantly now trying to tank. One team was doing it all season, and they got their wrist slapped. The other team is doing it, but they're doing it a little too late, which kind of is counterintuitive to their entire process. But we don't have to get into the actual specifics of the tank. I think what has happened in the last couple of years in the NBA, Adam Silver changed the odds for winning the lottery. The teams who had the worst records, in 2019, they flattened those odds to 14% for the worst teams in the league. It used to be from 1999 to 2018, the worst team had a 25% chance to get the top pick. Mm-hmm. Before that, 1998, the worst team had a 35% chance to get the number one pick. And for most of the 90s, that number sat anywhere between 25 and 35%. So you had and it wasn't as easy for a team in the middle to get to that point. Okay. It was really rewarding the worst teams in the league with number one picks. And the perfect example is look at Orlando. Orlando has won the number one pick multiple times. They've been bad in those years, and they were rewarded. And they've kind of had a little success with that throughout their history. And it's really the only success they've ever had was the ability to draft Shaquille O'Neal, the ability to draft Dwight Howard, those situations. So if you flatten the odds for all of the lottery teams, I think it would solve all of this issue. There would be no incentive to be absolutely terrible.
But it doesn't solve your problem for teams that are extremely bad. For teams that are still trying, it still doesn't help. It helps them more versus the teams that are horribly bad. Like, you're still going to have the owners that don't try at all, that are just trying to turn a profit. And the teams that are really bad have no way out because some ping pong balls don't fall their way. And if you get a team that gets lucky enough to get a first overall pick, and then the next year it falls their way, they get a second overall pick in a really good draft, then they have a franchise-altering 2 years, and then all of a sudden after that, they're in the conference finals because they end up signing another player or whatever, and that 2 years changed their The way you change this is you have a game like last night where the Wizards beat the Pacers 112 to 105. Okay?
Yeah.
However,
the
Wizards sat two of their starters. Like, they ended up winning the game because they're playing the Pacers, like a much worse team.
Well, yeah, and the Pacers have just been crushed by injuries this season.
Horrible. Like, that's not their own fault. Like, they're tanking, but it's like an injury tank. But the Wizards sat two of their starters the entire fourth quarter.
Yep.
Like, if you want to stop that,
that's what Utah's been doing.
Adam Silver goes to them today and finds that team $5 to $10 million. Like, that's the issue. This 500,000 BS is nothing. That's nothing to a team. The system is fine. The system's fine. The lottery balls, the rewarding the really bad teams, that's how you get out of the situation that you're in. That's fine. The system is not flawed. The teams that are taking advantage of the system are the ones that are flawed. Penalize them. Penalize those teams and raise the fines. Fine them $5 million. Take away their draft pick. Be like, Washington, you're going to do that? Guess what? No pick this year. Do that. And guess what? Teams will stop doing that. If the Jazz are going to do that this year, guess what? No pick. And see if teams do it next year. Fine them. Penalize them.
See, like, I'm not against your idea of fining the teams for this, and clearly Adam Silver and the NBA, they're doing that, right? They're fining teams. The Utah Jazz were fined $500,000 before All-Star Weekend for what they've done, and they've essentially the same exact thing they've been doing. They've been upping games, and they're removing their starters for the fourth quarter, and then losing those basketball games. I don't know. Maybe my perception of this is wrong, and you can tell us if we're wrong at 310-840-4910. Is tanking the worst issue in the NBA right now? I don't know if it necessarily is. I think it's a bigger issue that on a nightly basis, you don't know if the best players in the world are playing in all of these games.
Yeah.
That might be a bigger issue than tanking. I understand from a fan's perspective, if it's your team that's tanking, some of those people may get it, some may be annoyed. And if you're a team that can't figure out whether you should or shouldn't tank, I think that's equally frustrating.
That's the worst.
I'm living through that right now as a Chicago Bulls fan.
That's the worst option.
Their indecisiveness and claiming that they're trying to win while also being very bad for an extended period of time makes no sense whatsoever. But it's a bigger problem that you see a marquee matchup and you don't know if the stars are going to participate in the game. And that's what makes the NBA great. Like last night, there was a marquee game. The New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. Cade Cunningham was outstanding. Jalen Brunson was really good. Cunningham had 42, 8, and 13. Brunson, 33, 6, and 8. It was a really good game.
Yeah.
The Pistons won. No complaints. Fantastic game to watch. I enjoyed watching it. You had the stars participate. You can go up and down the games that were there last night, and you can find stars that were not playing, even though the NBA just had a week off.
Yeah. Y'all had rest.
So I know that being injured and not being able to play is different than saying someone is managing the minutes, but I do think that the perception that fans have of the NBA, that guys don't want to play on a nightly basis, that to me is a huge issue. It absolutely is. And I think that we can come up with the different solutions for tanking in the league, but I do think that when you look at the grand scale of the 1,000 different paper cuts that's killing the fandom for the NBA, it is equal parts tanking and players not trying from night to night.
Yeah, and I think it is, and Suns owner Matt Ishbia talked about this yesterday. He tweeted that tanking is a huge epidemic, and it's worse than any, this is the quote from the tweet, "This is much worse than any prop betting scandal." It's not. It's not.
I don't know.
It's not.
I don't know.
No.
What prop betting scandal has affected my watching of sports?
No.
None.
What's worse is what you're talking about. What's worse is when I show up to a game and I want to watch insert star here, and that star is not playing.
Yeah, that's a problem.
When I buy a ticket because let's say the Warriors are coming into town, or let's say the Spurs are coming into town, and I want to watch Victor Wembanyama, and I find out he's not playing because of load management, because they just played the night before, and he doesn't want to play in a back-to-back. Or we don't know if this is going to be LeBron's last year, and LeBron's playing in a back-to-back, and someone's a huge LeBron fan and wants to go to see LeBron play when the Lakers are in town, and guess what? It's the second night of a back-to-back, and LeBron doesn't want to play. And now that fan's out money because he wants to see LeBron, and LeBron decides he doesn't want to play on his maybe or maybe not farewell tour.
I would also add to the mixture of why the NBA is not having the level of success that it maybe should is also with the packaging of the league to the consumer. They've focused way too much on the fact that young people are on social media and the fact that the actual day-to-day games don't matter as much as the opinions about topics that take place in the off season. Right? Like, it does feel like some of the packaging based on TNT's coverage over the last few years, and quite honestly, and if you're a true NBA fan, it's been refreshing that TNT hasn't been broadcasting NBA games this year. Have you noticed an uptick in coverage of the actual games?
Yeah.
Like ESPN has a lot of this, which I will point to and say that I don't want it in my pregame coverage. I don't care about LeBron versus Jordan conversations leading into a game in the middle of March or February. I want to know about the teams playing that night. What's something to look for in tonight's game? Why should I pay attention to tonight's game? And I think that's something that NBC has brought to the table this year, where they're covering the actual games.
Yeah.
And we're not having Stephen A. Smith screaming at you for 25 minutes up until tip about something that's not even relevant to the actual game, or Charles and Kenny goofing around, pushing each other into video monitors before the game. Tell me about the game. And, that's the key. People like basketball. People like competitive basketball. And if you treat them with a little respect and cover the actual game and not just search for clickbait, I think people will respond.
Keep the word legacy out of my pregame shows. Like, that's it. Like, you shouldn't ever say the word legacy in a pregame show. It should never cross your mind. It should never be in a pregame show. You should be talking about that game and that game alone. Now, if we're in the finals and it's someone's about to win a ring and LeBron's about to win a ring, maybe. Then we talk about it. But as far as a regular season game on February 19th or 20th, no legacy talk. Ridiculous.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports, hanging out with you on a great Friday. If you want to join us, you can call us at 310-840-4910. The best coach in all of college football got new paper today. Who is that coach? We'll tell you next.
The NFL franchise tag window is open, with free agency starting within weeks. If it happens between now and kickoff, we'll tell you what you need to know on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
All right, moments ago, I said the best coach in college football got new paper today. Here's the news. Pete Thamel is reporting that Curt Cignetti agreed to a new deal at Indiana, which pushes his annual salary up to $13.2 million a year. The deal will now go through 2033. So the Hoosiers have their guy, Cignetti, until 2033. I'm guessing if he continues to have success, they'll continue giving him new contracts each and every year to up that money. I think he's the best coach in college football right now. Am I wrong in that assessment? What we've seen and what Cignetti was able to pull off at Indiana, winning the national title at Indiana, still something I am having trouble grasping, and I understand. If you're from the Hoosier State and that's your squad, you love it. But it's crazy to be entering a college football offseason with the idea that the Indiana Hoosiers are the defending national champions and that Curt Cignetti is the best coach in all of college football. I'm going to stand by that. I would put him number one today as the best coach in college football.
I tend to agree with you. Let's see. The only one that I would put up next to him right now is obviously currently coaching is Kirby Smart.
That's what I was thinking. Kirby Smart in Georgia.
Is the only one.
That's the only other person that you could say, because of the longevity of success that he's had, that it's a little early to suggest that Cignetti is better than he is. But Cignetti right now, I would take over Dabo Swinney.
Oh, absolutely.
I would take him over Sarkisian.
Yeah.
I would take him over a lot of different names around the country.
But here's the thing, though. If you gave me Cignetti and the team that he had, if it was Georgia and Indiana in the national championship game, and you gave both those teams that much time, I'm probably taking Indiana. Because I am. Because I'm just he's proven that with extra time to prepare, he just finds your weaknesses. And Kirby Smart, for some reason, the last few years just hasn't been able to do that. We've had 3 Big Ten champions in a row for national titles. And I'm an SEC guy. Where has the SEC been? Where's Georgia been?
Well,
Since Saban left, where's Alabama been?
I think those in the South, and listening on our great radio affiliates all over the South, would suggest to Abdalla and suggest to me that it's because you eat your own. You guys are all battling each other to the death in the SEC, a real conference, a real football conference.
Yeah, you can only say that for so long. Eventually, you got to win one.
Well, I'm just telling you, I think that the competition level in the SEC from week to week is different than what we've seen in other conferences.
What happened to iron sharpens iron?
I agree with you. I think that that's the case, and when you get to the end of the season, but when you look at some of those names, I'm not putting Ryan Day as the best coach in college football.
No,
I'm not.
No.
I think it's still a little early for Marcus Freeman at Notre Dame.
Yes.
I think he could at some point. It's possible that Freeman could be on that level. It's a little early. Sark, no. Dan Lanning, no, at Oregon. He's not on that list yet. Kalen DeBoer at Alabama is not that level.
No. I think Kalen DeBoer is going to lose his job at the end of the season.
And that's possible. It certainly is. The expectations are sky high for the Crimson Tide.
And they're not going to have a good enough team to make the playoff this year. So he's going to be out. But I think that right now with Curt Cignetti, you put him up against any coach and you give him, in a playoff situation, you give him an extra week to prepare, something like that, and he's going to beat you. He's going to find your weakness. He's going to give your way to beat you. And as far as Marcus Freeman goes, I don't know if we're going to get to find out if he's going to be the best college coach, because I think he's young enough that he takes the jump. I think that he is young enough in his coaching career where he can take the leap to the NFL. And Cignetti's already said that he's a college guy. He's not going to take the jump. He's in his 60s. He's not going to go and leap to the NFL. And if they keep upping his salary a few million every year,
right?
Why would he take the jump?
He wouldn't. And he's in the perfect situation right now at Indiana.
Yeah.
There is no reason for Cignetti to leave because he's built everything he needed right there in Indiana.
Yeah.
Which is why I put him at the top of all college football as far as coaches go, off of this news that he got more paper today, and that's why we're talking about it. But essentially, what he's done now at Indiana is why I give him so much respect. That it's probably Cignetti, Kirby Smart.
Mm-hmm.
Those are probably the two best coaches in college football right now.
Ryan Day's up there, but he's also 46 years old. He could also take... There's always loose rumors that Ryan Day could make the jump to the NFL.
There is. I would also say, for Michigan fans, your situation is interesting. I want to see how this works with Kyle Whittingham. He was always one of those guys that I gave so much credit to in the success that he had at Utah each and every season. Winning games you never really expected them to be in. They were tough, good offensive and defensive line play. I'm interested in seeing how that works because even though Whittingham has spent most of his time recruiting the West, it's going to be different at Michigan, but you have better resources at Michigan. So I think there is potential there for that to be one of those situations because between there are two guys who are jumping and leaving a little bit smaller schools to bigger platforms.
Yeah.
And it's Whittingham and it's Matt Campbell at Penn State.
Yeah.
Campbell has been rumored for quite some time to be an NFL kind of guy too in some situations. And like Iowa State didn't really have the top level of success.
Mm-hmm.
To see if he can do that at Penn State, I think that will be something to keep our eyes on as well as we kind of head towards spring ball in the college football world.
Well, and I think so too. Like you look at when Whittingham was hired, like end of December too, when all this stuff went down with Sharon Moore. Like there's no more excuses with, well, you've got 3 years to build a program because of what Curt Cignetti did with the transfer portal and the money that you have, especially with Michigan. Like Michigan's got money
right now. You got to do it.
You don't have 3 years to get your guys in here. Like you've got to do this in a year, and with the expectations and the money, the NIL fund that Michigan has, you better be able to do this in a year or two because not only are you supposed to be one of the big fish in the Big Ten, like you've got high expectations with the amount of money that you pour into Michigan as well.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Let's get an official Olympic update here on the Bleck and Abdalla Show. We are big Olympic enthusiasts. And the 35th Winter Olympiads taking place in Italy, in Milan, Cortina. And Abdalla, we have a lot of action taking place as the final days of the Olympiad are kind of wrapping up here. Norway leads the medal count with 37. The U.S. has 27, and Italy has 26. It's a big hockey match going on right now. Third period, Canada and Finland tied at 2.
Wow.
Got our eyes on that. Lots going on with the Olympics. And you saw a story about an individual who got hit by a leaf blower.
Yeah, we've all done some landscaping, right?
What? Yes, of course.
Landscaping.
Yeah, blow the leaves around in the fall.
U.S. ski jumper Ben Loomis avoids Olympic mishap after being struck by a leaf blower on a mountain. United States ski jumper Ben Loomis luckily avoided what could have been a disaster at the 2026 Milan Cortina Games on Thursday after being struck by a leaf blower on his attempted jump. These leaf blowers are set up on the mountain to blow snow out of the way. And it happened early enough in the track where he was able to recover and finish his jump. This was a 116-meter jump. Now, we've talked about this. This is one of the ski jumpers where the injectables.
He was trying to cheat.
No. This is the event where it could have.
These are the type of individuals that were looking for a little extra in their.
That where you could.
Can you say the crotch region?
I'm not saying he did. I'm just saying that this is the event where
he wanted more material downstairs.
We could look for this in this event
because that's the scandal.
This is the event.
They were injecting it into their, the thing down there to then get more fabric around it.
Yes,
that was the concept.
Yeah, the weather conditions required numerous leaf blowers to make sure the track was clear.
A leaf blower.
Yeah. However, one of the leaf blowers wasn't paying attention as Loomis was coming down the track, and he ran right into it and hit him right. Almost hit him in the face, but he avoided.
Could you imagine getting clotheslined as you're about to leap off of the ski jump?
Yeah, it would have hurt.
So we'll keep our eyes on all the great competitions taking place at the Winter Olympics, and obviously we'll see if Team Canada or Finland wins in that hockey match as well. Bleck Abdalla, we love the Olympics. Coming up next, we will get you set for the NFL Combine here on Westwood One Sports.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
That's right, it's a Friday here on Bleck and Abdalla as we are on the air every weekday, noon to 3 Eastern, here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. You can also listen to us on SiriusXM Channel 375 and all of our great radio affiliates across the country. It's Bleck and Abdalla live from Chicago. I'm Chris Bleck along with Adam Abdalla. If you want to join the show today on a Friday, a feel-good Friday, and all calls welcome Friday with Bleck and Abdalla, you can call us at 310-840-4910. Next week, the NFL Combine begins. That's right, we have athletes trying to get to the NFL, working out in underwear, Abdalla. That's right. Everyone, the Underwear Olympics is what people call it in Indianapolis, the NFL Combine. That's right. Well, it's not technically underwear, but it's very tight. Revealing outfits that, like, why can't they just wear shorts?
Because that's not aerodynamic.
And jerseys.
That's not aerodynamic.
They're all in the like skimpy little tights.
Because you're running, you have to be aerodynamic.
I've always thought that that's strange.
No,
football players don't wear football pants. Why don't they wear actual football pants like they would in a game? I don't understand that.
You have to be at your lightest, and you have to be aerodynamic.
All right, so next week, the NFL Combine is set to kick off, and so we're going to have a lot of NFL coverage for you next week on the show. And I think as we look towards next week, going through some of the storylines on what we expect to take place and what could take place next week when all the GMs get together, they start scouting the players for the NFL draft. Do we try and figure out, is there actually a quarterback that could go in the first round other than Fernando Mendoza, or is he the only guy and he will be the number one pick and no other quarterback will go off the board in the first round? I think there's a lot of intriguing storylines we'll get into next week when we talk about the Combine down in Indy.
Yeah, and when you start previewing this NFL draft, you look at all of the mock drafts from various places, whether it's ESPN, NFL.com, The Athletic. The common theme is that there is only one quarterback. I think I've only seen one mock draft, and that would have been from Field Yates from ESPN.com, that has another quarterback, and that is the Steelers selecting Ty Simpson from Alabama with their pick at, I believe, 11 or something like that, and they take him, and they draft there, and eventually...
Who'd you say?
The Steelers.
The Steelers pick in the first round. Pittsburgh's 21.
21. I knew there was a 1 in there somewhere.
Miami's at 11.
So they pick him at 21, and they then have him sit for a year behind Aaron Rodgers, would be the philosophy, or 2 years, however long Aaron Rodgers wants to play, and then he would start after that because Mike McCarthy is good at developing quarterbacks. Now, to me, that would be very high. selecting a quarterback that you're going to sit for 2 years. Ty Simpson, I watched every snap of Ty Simpson play at Alabama. He's not a day one quarterback. I think in any other draft, Ty Simpson wouldn't be a day 3 quarterback. If he was coming out next year when you have a ton of quarterbacks and very good quarterbacks, he would definitely be a day 3. I think that Fernando Mendoza would probably be a day 2, maybe a high day 3 quarterback if this was next year's draft. So I think that when we get to the combine, the smoke you're going to start to see might not necessarily be that the Raiders are going to take Fernando Mendoza number 1. We're set on taking Fernando Mendoza 1. We're not taking any meetings. I think it might be that the Raiders are listening to everything and that Fernando Mendoza might not be the consensus number 1 overall pick. And that's just doing their due diligence. Because if you're the Raiders, why do you need just because you need a quarterback doesn't mean you have to take this quarterback. Just because you need one to start, like you have Geno Smith, like he's not a franchise quarterback, but he's in your building.
He's not a good quarterback.
He's not a good quarterback, but are we sold on Fernando Mendoza? If Fernando Mendoza were to be a day 3 quarterback next year, are we sold on Fernando Mendoza as the number 1 pick?
You know, I think that's the way we're being led to believe, is that Mendoza is the best quarterback coming out of this draft.
Okay.
I do kind of, there is an element of what you're bringing up, and if you want to join us, you can call us at 310-840-4910. I get what you're saying. What if the Raiders see traits in someone else that they know they can get in the second or the third round, and then they don't have to use that number 1 pick on a quarterback? Could they put the smoke screen out there like they're open for business to trade Mendoza to a team that does need a quarterback? The Jets and the Cardinals are sitting right behind the Raiders. Could they put it out there and play those two teams, knowing that perhaps they really want Ty Simpson or Carson Beck or Garrett Nessmeyer or Drew Aller? I don't think that's realistic. I don't think any of those guys are better than Mendoza. But you're right. Next week, we may start to see some smoke with, they would maybe be willing to trade because they do think there's value or there's someone who could surprise people as a quarterback in the NFL. I think the one thing that I struggle with that is when you look at the overall class, this is a down class for quarterbacks. This isn't what we saw last year or even the year before that great class from 2023. This is not that type of style class, and I think what a lot of people really think is that Fernando Mendoza might be your only starter out of this group, and that everyone else is looking at career backup-like situations, and that's talking about Carson Beck or Nessmeyer or Simpson. Like, I could see that being the case from this draft class, which changes some of that conversation. And if you are the Raiders, and if that was a real perspective to take heading into the combine and the draft, how are you getting your quarterback if you don't take Fernando Mendoza? If you're not taking him number 1, and you say we're going to build up with other things, we're going to fix the offensive line, and you can patch it together 1 year with Geno Smith, how are you fixing it long term? Well, I think this is your spot to get a guy, and you hope that Mendoza turns into Jared Goff.
Yeah.
And that's your quarterback for the next 10 to 12 years. And a part of it is like he's not super athletic to the point that he's dazzling everyone with his gifts athletically. But if you keep him upright, he's a quarterback who could be absolutely serviceable in the right situation if you fix everything else around him.
You said that they need to convince other teams that they're interested in Ty Simpson or Carson Beck or these other quarterbacks. Why? Say that why even take, if you want to trade down, take Arvell Reese, the linebacker out of Ohio State. Take an offensive tackle.
That's not what I mean. What I mean is, like, internally, if they think that there is potential with one of these other quarterbacks, they don't have to let the league know this, but they could just say, all right, we're open for business for one because we'll move back and we'll take a better player in the first round with moving back because we know we can grab a quarterback later who we think has potential. That's what I'm saying.
Sign Malik Willis.
You could do that as well.
Give up a 4th-round pick for Kyler Murray and pay him for a year and then cut him after next year if you're going to be bad. Like, if you're going to be bad and if you're going to be, like, if you're Tom Brady, you are arguably one of the best, if not the best quarterbacks of all time. Are you looking at Fernando Mendoza and saying that's the guy for the next 10 to 15 years? Or are you looking at Arch Manning next year or any of the other guys from next year and saying, no, that's the guy for the next 10 to 15 years? And you're saying to yourself, guys, we just need to be bad for one more year and we can have that guy. Like, if I'm Tom Brady, I'm not tying myself to someone to 10 to 15 years that I'm not fully convinced on just because he's there.
Well, I'm guessing that Tom Brady probably sees a little of himself in Mendoza.
Of course he does.
I mean, right? Like,
of course he does.
He wasn't a top-level quarterback coming into college. He bounced around. Like, it was a late bloomer situation in the college game.
As soon as Mendoza took the keeper in the national championship game and left across for the touchdown, Tom Brady left the stadium.
I see what you're saying, but also something tells me that Brady likes that Fernando Mendoza is a gamer. Like, I'm guessing Brady really likes him, if I had to guess. And we'll see if that's the report that comes out, and we'll see if the Raiders end up selecting Mendoza with the number 1 pick. Mm-hmm. But I think when you say, does Tom Brady then see next year's draft class as the spot? Like, what if they move back or they trade this year's number 1 pick for a number 1 pick next season?
Yeah.
That could be a possibility, too, if you're looking at it. If we had to lay down betting on what we think will actually happen, I would put the most amount of chips down on the Raiders taking Mendoza 1.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I think that's what they're going to do.
For sure.
And then they'll get that star player drafted in the top 15 or 20 based on trading Max Crosby. I think they'll trade Max Crosby. They'll get a pick in the top 20. It'll either be the Cowboys pick at 20 or the Buccaneers at 15. And they will be able to get that defensive player that you're mentioning or someone on the offensive line. Mm-hmm. And that's how they're going to jumpstart this and build from the ground up with a new coaching staff and like a new era of Raiders football. As Bleck Abdalla, we're talking to you about the NFL Combine next week. You know, the other main storylines is obviously it's not just the number 1 pick with the Raiders. It's what will happen with Max Crosby. And I think we will get some information next week on the teams who are interested, the teams that are going to be offering packages for Max Crosby, and whether or not the Raiders are open for business. The last time the Raiders spoke on the record was at the press conferences with Clint Kubiak being introduced to the media. Kubiak and the front office and Mark Davis, the owner, they all said that they want Max Crosby to be in a Raiders helmet. They want him to be with Vegas. We'll see if that's true. We'll see what's floated out there next week on whether or not Max Crosby is really an option on the trade market for other teams.
Yeah, because it was last reported by Jay Glazer the week of the Super Bowl that Crosby wants out. And when you send a player home the final week of the season and say that he's injured, and then he's posting on Instagram that he's playing basketball and jumping on a trampoline, and he wants to play, and it's obvious that you're tanking for the number 1 pick and you don't want your best player out there, your game wrecker that can basically take over games and win games for you. He wants out. And that's what Jay Glazer's reporting, and I trust that. And look, he's being a good soldier. He's being a good teammate. He was there for the press conference. He was there working out. Kubiak said he was there and said that Crosby was working out and doing all the right things and met him and talked to him. And Crosby can do all of the right stuff. But the fact of the matter is, I'm going to believe Jay Glazer's report that Max Crosby wants out, and it would be in the best interest for the Raiders to get the most picks and start fresh. Because what is more valuable to your franchise quarterback if you're going to take Fernando Mendoza? 1 edge rusher when you're still going to be pretty bad, or 2 or 3 new offensive linemen? It's 2 or 3 new offensive linemen to protect Fernando Mendoza.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports, previewing the NFL Combine next week. Kicks off in Indy. Earlier this week, Dan Graziano was on ESPN television because if we're keeping our eyes on Max Crosby, there's also a pass rusher in Cincinnati who could be on the move in Trey Hendrickson. This is what Dan Graziano from ESPN had to say, linking Hendrickson to the Colts.
Trey Hendrickson to the Colts, I believe it makes a lot of sense. They've been looking for edge rush help for a number of years. The defensive coordinator for the Colts is Lou Anarumo, who coached Trey Hendrickson some of his best years in Cincinnati. It makes a lot of sense. It can be a short-term deal for a veteran player who might have the kind of impact the Colts are looking for. Colts have not won their division. They've gone the longest of any team in their division without winning it. It has been quite a drought for Indianapolis. We know they had a great start to last year and then fell apart. They want to make sure and finish it off. Trey Hendrickson, if he gets back healthy and to the kind of player he was in Cincinnati, can certainly be a guy that helps them do that.
So there was Dan Graziano on ESPN television linking Trey Hendrickson to the Colts. If there are teams like the Cowboys, the Bears, the Buccaneers that miss out on Max Crosby, would those teams be interested and go after Trey Hendrickson if that well dries up? And I think Indy has been a team that's been rumored for Hendrickson now for a couple weeks. And so I think that Trey Hendrickson's situation is also a big storyline to keep our eyes on as we head to the NFL Combine next week.
Yeah, and all it takes is money as a free agent. You don't have to give up any picks like you would for Max Crosby. Max Crosby already has a contract, too, so you don't have to negotiate or do anything like that. But with Trey Hendrickson, if you're drawing that connection, I think it's just going to also come down to who's offering the most money. If he wants to be the highest paid pass rusher, because that's was part of the rumors last year, is that he wanted to be one of the highest paid pass rushers, but he's also one of the older guys that's up there. And, you know, he was injured for a lot of last year. I believe he only played in 7 games last year. So he's coming off of injury, but the last 2 years he was healthy. He had 17 and a half sacks in both of those years. So when Trey Hendrickson is fully healthy, he is one of the best pass rushers in the game. The question is going to be health. The question is going to be age for Trey Hendrickson, and how much is someone willing to give a Trey Hendrickson coming off of injury?
Along with Hendrickson, I think another item to keep our eyes on for the Combine next week will be what the rumors and the conversations around Malik Willis will be. He's the number one quarterback on the market who's a free agent who, if you need a quarterback, you're at the store shopping for quarterbacks. You walk in, and it looks like everything's picked over. You know, you see the footage when there's like a hurricane coming into town, and you see the shopping, like people go to the grocery store and there's no toilet paper and all the shelves are empty. And there you got Malik Willis sitting there on the shelf. He's the only one left. So if you need a quarterback in this offseason, there's not a lot of options. It's like what is it with whenever they pick over all the water. And, like, Dasani is still sitting there on the shelf. You've seen those clips, right?
Yeah.
Like, when there's a natural disaster and then, like, Ice Mountain's gone, the Fiji's gone, all the big brands that people...
Just Dasani.
And then Dasani is there. Or what's the other one? Something blue?
Man. The
Deshaun Blue?
Not Glacier Blue or something like that.
It's out there, too, and no one buys that brand of water, bottled water.
Yeah.
So you walk in, and you're shopping for a quarterback, and Malik Willis is just sitting there. So I saw this from NFL.com. This is a list of 8 players who could be misvalued in 2026.
Okay.
The number one player, players who could be overpriced, Malik Willis.
Oh.
It's true. It's true.
I agree with you because he's the only guy left, essentially. I mean, we all assume Daniel Jones is going to go back to the Colts, coming off of injury. Aaron Rodgers is going to go back to the Steelers because of the relationship with Mike McCarthy. He's not going to go play for the Cardinals if they trade Kyler Murray. He might go to the Vikings. We'll see. That's an option for Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be Malik Willis. He's the only, and he can take his pick of the Jets, the Cardinals, and we'll see what the Dolphins do with Tua. He's going to have potentially three teams bidding over him.
Everyone else in town has gotten all their emergency supplies, and you're the last one to the grocery store, and you come walking in, and every shelf is empty, and Malik Willis is just sitting there.
Deja blue.
Deja blue. That I knew it was something blue. Deja blue.
Deja blue.
Or Dasani.
Yeah.
They're the only water that's left when there's a natural disaster. It's the last one.
I'll take the crab juice.
Yes, the crab juice. Who is the most intriguing free agent this offseason in the NFL who isn't a free agent yet? We'll tell you next.
The Seahawks aren't expected to place the franchise tag on Kenneth Walker. Could the Super Bowl MVP be on another team next season? Get ready. The free agent frenzy is coming on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Yo.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes.
Raj, you are no say nothing.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
Oh, you can hear me. I forgot you can hear me. But okay, but yeah, don't say anything. Stay muted.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Broadcasting live each and every day from the city of Chicago. It's Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Now we go to Denver, Colorado, where Raj Sharon is broadcasting live each and every day. And he joins us for Fill in the Blank. What's up, Raj?
Hello, fellas. Are we ready to play a little fill in the blank?
Let's do it. Let's go.
All right, first up, the most intriguing free agent this offseason, who isn't a free agent yet, will be...
The most intriguing free agent is going to be Tua Tagovailoa.
Okay.
They're going to eat the money. They're going to eat the $97-odd million, and Tua Tagovailoa will be cut pre-June 1st, and the Dolphins will just free themselves, and they will have all of that money to spend next offseason.
You're going to go with Tua. I'm going to go off the board and give you a different quarterback.
Okay.
Derek Carr.
Okay.
Derek Carr's going to decide that he wants to come back, and the Saints will give up his rights, and he will sign somewhere. That's the name I'm going with. I feel like the breadcrumbs are there. I'm going to select Derek Carr as my answer. Lock it in. Final answer.
All right, fellas, next up, the biggest issue plaguing the NBA is blank. Bleck?
Non-competitive games on a night-to-night basis. That's my fill in the blank. I think it's tough to pinpoint as one specific thing for this answer. So I think when I say non-competitive games, that is both tanking and players not giving a damn on a night-to-night basis. You need more of the stars wanting to be out there to play. I'm old enough, Abdalla, to live in an era where 82 games wasn't some scary number that all the players were afraid. Too many games. Like, this is what's so funny to me about all of this conversation with the load management and the complaining from the players about too many games and too much travel. They used to do this while flying commercial in the 80s and in the early 90s until teams bought chartered jets. Like, what are we talking about? Mm-hmm. It really is soft that modern day athletes can't do what those in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s were able to do. I get it. The game is more athletic today. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah.
And when you flip on a game from the 90s, it's like you have a pack basketball. Everyone goes from one paint to the other. End-to-end movement. They just go from the paint and they plop.
Yeah.
I get it. But still, it's amazing to me how soft they become where they can't play 82 basketball games while being paid millions and millions of dollars. Mm-hmm. So that's my answer.
Unc Bleck over here. I'm going to say off of that, it's kind of the same thing. It's load management, but here's my semi-solution for that. If you're not going to play, I don't want to see you. I know you're not on the bench. Like, you're not sitting on the bench.
They might like that.
I don't want you.
They get days off. They might like that.
I don't want you in the arena because I don't want to see you. I don't want them to talk about you, and I don't want you kicking it on the bench, and I don't want you laughing because you should be out there playing. You're healthy.
Oh, you mean the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander just chilling?
You're healthy.
Fun?
You're just not playing because
he's been battling an injury.
But the load management when you're resting, you're healthy. You could play. You're just tired. Get out there and play.
Like, am I crazy in my assessment of, like, the way the league hasn't added more games?
No. Well, I mean,
They haven't. You still play an 82-game schedule.
Unless you win the midseason tournament.
Okay, so you play one more game, two more games.
Unless you make the play-in tournament at the end of the season to make
Black,
the playoffs.
the
Yeah, but those
argument
teams
is the game is so much faster these days. There's so much more movement. It is more physically
technically.
taxing than it was in the Jordan.
They're running more.
No, and I that's what I said. I
Mileage.
said that. The game is more athletic and there's more court
got old
usage.
knees.
They're running on more parts of the court. But it really it's soft.
Yeah.
It's a weak mentality, LeBron. Come on.
LeBron and his knees.
Unreal. Jordan would be out there. Jordan would load manage. Jordan was mad when the team shut him down because he had a broken foot. He wanted to come back at the end of that season early in his career. LeBron. Don't get me started, Raj. This is a Friday. We're trying to have a nice show. I don't want to turn this into Jordan is better than LeBron.
No, you just said no.
I don't want to do
that
that.
topic
I don't
has
want to
never
do that.
been done
I
on
don't want to
sports
do
radio
that.
before. Like
No
ever.
legacy talk.
I don't want to do that today. I'm having a good day.
It's not June yet.
All right,
Having a
next
nice
up,
day,
fellas,
Raj.
We're going to start with a blank on this third one. Blank will be the most impactful veteran receiver on a new team next season. Abdalla?
Chris is not going to like this because I don't think he likes him, but I'm going to say A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown, the Eagles are going to trade A.J. Brown, and he's going to go to a decent team, and he's going to make a difference. I think I like Jalen Hurts, but I think just a new place will reinvigorate A.J. Brown, and I think that he will have an impact on whatever. If he goes to, I know he was talking about the Patriots, but let's say he goes to the Bills. If he goes to the Bills, he's going to have an instant impact on the Bills for sure. So I'm going to say A.J. Brown.
Mike Evans.
I was going to say Mike Evans, but
Mike Evans is my
too
pick.
old, man.
What do you mean too old? He's going to be impactful wherever he lands.
Old.
Mike Evans will have an impact next season. He will be the veteran wide receiver that goes somewhere that'll have the biggest impact.
Old.
Because I was going to lean towards DJ Moore, but I don't know how much of an impact you'll have for a losing Raiders squad with a rookie quarterback. So I'm going to go with Mike Evans.
Old.
All right, next up, guys, the relationship between Lamar Jackson and his new offensive coordinator, Declan Doyle, will be blank. Abdalla?
Non-existent because he will get traded. No, I think they'll be fine. I think that Lamar will. I don't want to say like tumultuous or anything like that. I think it'll be fine. I think Lamar will show up to some of the stuff. I don't know if he'll show up to the voluntary things. I know that Declan Doyle came out and said that he wants everybody to be there, but it's still voluntary. Voluntary means voluntary, buddy. And mandatory means mandatory. And until they change the wording, Lamar doesn't have to show up for the voluntary stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think they'll be fine, but don't expect Lamar to do the stuff that's voluntary.
The relationship between Lamar Jackson and Declan Doyle will be successful. I think Lamar Jackson will be at the Ravens, and I think Doyle and Jackson will have success there. So I'm going to say successful.
Okay.
They will be successful. What's
All right,
next, Raj?
Next up, guys, blank will be the team that wins the most games next year with a new starting quarterback. Bleck?
Okay. I'm going to say it's... Oh, I don't want to do this, but let's do it. It's going to be Minnesota.
Do it.
Oh!
Minnesota is going to have the most wins with a new starting quarterback, and it will be Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray with the Vikings, they will have the most wins in those situations. Like new teams that need new quarterbacks, I don't think the Raiders, the Cardinals, the Dolphins, if the Jets get a new quarterback, I don't think that that's going to be the case. So I'm going to say it's the Vikings and it's Kyler Murray.
So how many more wins are they going to have? They had 9 wins last year.
Yeah, but it's better than Arizona.
I'm going to say Arizona because you can't have less. I mean, I guess you could have less than 3. I think it's going to be Arizona because no matter if they end up signing Malik Willis, I think that the team overall will just be better because they're going to draft some players. They're going to sign some better players. I think if they get 3 more wins, that's more wins than Minnesota's going to have. 2 more wins and they get to 11 wins. Like, you can only do so much better than 9. Like,
no,
they
I know,
won
but
9 games,
but
dude.
they're going to be better than what they were.
Okay, but they won 9 games.
Okay,
like they were still.
So they win 2 more.
But Arizona could win 3 more, and that's much better.
Good luck with that.
Okay.
Best of luck to you, sir.
Okay.
All right, fellas, next up, this one is one near and dear to your hearts. It's a
Yes.
double. We got 2 blanks to fill in here.
2 blanks.
2 blanks. Bleck Abdalla.
The Bears' future stadium will be located in the state of blank, and it will open in the year of blank. Abdalla?
Oh, yeah.
The Bears' future stadium will be located in the state of President Kevin Warren's mind and will open in the year 2030 in his dreams.
I've got a real answer for you.
No, I do. It'll be located in the state of Illinois and open in 2033.
Oh, that's a good number. All right, it's 2020. It's 2026 right now.
Yeah, that's why I said 33.
All right, Raj. Here's my answer. The stadium will be located in the state of Illinois. They will be building in Arlington Heights. They own the land. This is all political posturing taking place between the 2 states, between the Bears. And the stadium will be open in 2031 because I don't believe that they will come to an agreement here in this calendar year, 2026. And I think that they're on the record already saying that it will take at least 3 years from the moment a shovel goes into the ground to fully developed, finished stadium. So I'm guessing at some point in 2027, they will have an answer to this stupid saga that's been taking place for way too long here in the city of Chicago. And the stadium won't be open until 2031. And I
31?
think... Well, yeah, that's what I said. I also think, did we mention, and Roz, did we tell you this, that the Bears still have time on their lease at the current Soldier Field?
Yeah.
For a few more years. So, like, all of this stuff that's out there in the media that they're going to move to Indy and all that, like, their deadline for having to have a decision, they've got like 5 years left on their current lease playing at the current Soldier Field.
That's why I said 2033, because that's when the lease is up.
Yeah, so there's still a lot more back and forth to take place
They ain't
here.
paying rent at 2 places.
No, but there's also no incentive to leave at this moment.
Paying a rent and a mortgage.
Raj? I think we lost Raj.
Did you lose Raj?
Oh,
It's
I'm
all
back.
right.
I'm back. I'm back.
Oh,
All right.
there
and
you go.
finally-
There's Raj.
Hey, technology. All right. And finally, I will need blank streaming services to watch football after the new NFL media deal, which is expected in 2029. Bleck.
All of them. You will need all of the streaming. I know
You will
Raj
need
is looking
streaming
for a
services
specific
that
number.
aren't even out yet.
Yes. You will need all of the streaming services. There's rumors that Prime, Netflix, YouTube will get more NFL action.
They want
I think
5 games each.
I think you'll
something like
need
that.
all of the streaming services.
Okay.
That's my answer. You'll need all of them going
I will
forward.
give you a real answer. The answer's 3.
I think it's a good answer.
The answer's 3. Amazon, Netflix, and YouTube, because the good old antenna still works for NBC, CBS, ABC, and Fox, my friends.
The
good
antenna.
the good old. I still get it. I still get
which
NBC.
boomers are you talking to on
you
this
have
show?
an antenna in your TV still. If you have it, if you have a smart TV, it still has an antenna in it.
Some do.
And some do. And you can still go on Amazon and buy an antenna, just like I did when I was promised that the Chicago Bulls were going to broadcast their pay channel on
How did that work out for you?
They pulled the rug out from under me,
Oh,
and the consumer.
Hold on. You guys, both of you, I blame both of you, Raj and Abdallah, you guys are supposed to remind me to
we
cancel.
did yesterday. Cancel
that's
it
right, you
now.
my Bulls
didn't cancel
subscription.
yet.
I'll do it right now.
The
Hold
answer
on.
is 3.
All right, well, while
and-
Bleck is canceling,
While
just
doing
for
that, so I'm gonna-
reference, for
Yeah.
everybody, currently they're with NBC/Peacock 1,
Yeah,
CBS
so you get the-
Paramount
so
Plus
the games
2,
are on
ABC,
NBC,
ESPN
yeah.
3, Fox
Yeah.
4, all these different ones, right? The
Yeah.
only big hitter they're kind of missing is Apple TV of the main major streaming. So do we think that is around the corner as well? Are we going to
So,
be
okay,
getting
so it'll
some
be-
exclusive game there as well?
Yeah, so it'll be 4 if you have to get to Apple, if they get to Apple. But otherwise, all the games are on. You can get an antenna and get the games on your antenna if you wanted to. So you don't have to have these streaming services. You could have regular
now,
cable.
But the question was in the future deal. So by 2029, are they off all these broadcast deals, and do they only go to streamers?
I mean, I don't think so. I still think you have to. I mean, at least if you're a local, you have to at least broadcast the game in your local market. Like if you want to watch Sunday Night Football, maybe.
You hope.
But
you hope they might change it.
They're not going to change
Could
it.
they
might change
deal
it.
with
the
Crackle?
NFL.
Is that still a
Yeah.
thing?
I can't wait to be watching Monday Night Football on Tubi.
Was Crackle the service that brought you comedians in cars getting coffee?
I don't remember.
I think it was. I think that was the only thing they had. All right,
But
I'm
we
canceling
need to
it
watch
right now.
games on
Cancel.
Fortnite, which is a
Oh,
thing
please
that
no.
Hollywood is talking about, doing movie premieres in Fortnite.
No,
Please
thank
no.
you.
Please no. Please
I'm
no.
not. I'm not dropping in to go to a movie.
Thank you, Raj. We appreciate it.
Thank you, fellas.
And you could also, if you were on our YouTube live stream, where we're streaming the show each and every day, Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports, you could have seen Raj join us.
Yeah.
So we got Raj on camera today. So you can check that out. Make sure you like and subscribe to the Bleck and Abdalla YouTube channel. Bleck and Abdalla Show. We have the live stream right there on that page, and also new content posted each and every day right here from the show. Bleck and Abdalla sponsored by Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. Yesterday on the show, we were talking about Kevin Durant, and I said that he's my favorite player in the NBA. After yesterday and last night, I think I have a new favorite player in the NBA. I'll tell you who that is next.
The Colts have a QB decision to make. Cut, trade, or keep Anthony Richardson. Will the former number 3 overall pick be looking for a new home? Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will be in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
Is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Yesterday, I said that Kevin Durant is my favorite player in the league after he responded to reporters in kind of a funny way of sidestepping whether or not he was using burner accounts to trash his teammates. So I was like, hell yeah, KD. And KD showed up last night. He played well for the Rockets.
Yeah.
I think I have a new favorite player in the NBA. Did you see Cade Cunningham last night against the Knicks? He was outstanding. Great game against the Knicks in the Garden. The Pistons won 126-111. Cunningham had 42 points, 8 rebounds, 13 assists. Now, a part of why I like his game is there's something that people have pointed out to with Cade Cunningham's game, and they call him a ethical hooper. And what does that mean? He plays the game the right way, right? Like he's not hunting fouls offensively. And what goes along with this conversation is that last night is a perfect example of an ethical hooper, right? Like Cade Cunningham last night against the Knicks was absolutely outstanding in the Garden. He had 42 points in 38 minutes. He went 17 of 34 from the field, 5 for 11 from 3. He only went to the free throw line 3 times.
Oof.
Think about that. In this day and age in the NBA,
in this economy,
usually you see the best players in the league, Luka, you see Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, you see the best guards in the league. James Harden is known for this. They're known as free throw merchants, right? They are individuals that get to the free throw line 12, 14, 15, 17 times a game. It's just a different style of basketball. And people have started to notice that Cunningham's game is not built like some of the other stars at the top level.
Yeah.
So I'm online yesterday, and I see in GQ
Gentlemen's Quarterly.
Yes, GQ. Thank you, Abdalla. I'm glad you.
I just want to let people know
yes.
that you're perusing Gentlemen's Quarterly on a regular basis.
No, I was actually perusing NBA stuff.
Oh, okay.
And I saw that Cade Cunningham had an interview in GQ.
Gentlemen's Quarterly.
Yes. So I'm reading it, and I'm like, all right, whatever. I don't, you don't really pull things. Usually interviews with athletes, like they say nice things about everyone, and it's like, it's all fluff for the most part. Like, really, like in this day and age, when you see an interview with an athlete and you're like, wow, that was really awesome. Well, Cade Cunningham essentially called out the best players in the league for being people that hunt and search for foul calls. And he called out the best players in the game, saying that his game isn't the same as others. Quote, I don't get the same respect from the refs. I'm not getting the same foul calls. Some people, like this guy, might be better than me, or he's nowhere near better than me, all because he's going to the line a bunch of times. I'm not getting the foul calls. I play differently. This is all from Cade Cunningham in GQ, essentially calling out the top players in the league. And the article points out that the guys that he's not naming, who he's looking to point to, are like Jalen Brunson, who he played last night, Luka Doncic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and others who essentially, offensively, each possession, they're trying to get a foul. And that's their style of offense.
Mm-hmm.
From a basketball standpoint, it's smart.
Yeah.
Those players have schemed the game. Like, that's how you are efficient, is getting to the foul line.
Yes.
It works.
Yes.
So, like, but as someone who watches basketball, and the fact that Cade Cunningham is an ethical hooper, and that people are appreciating his purity of his game, and that's the best compliment that he thinks he's received, is that people notice that there's a difference. First of all, Abdalla, you love to gamble. I love to gamble. If you're looking around on DraftKings today, Cade Cunningham is like the third or the fourth best option to win MVP this season.
Love it.
The Pistons are number one in the Eastern Conference. Big win last night. I love this guy. This is awesome. This is great for the league.
He called flopping a get-out-of-jail-free card.
Yep.
Which is great. But he also said, some people are better than others. I can't sell a foul for nothing. There's a skill to it for sure.
Yeah, he says, quote, foul baiting is something that he's noticed with others. And he also said, what do you do when your best players do it? Quote, 3 of the top 10 guys in the NBA are all doing it consistently. You're going to kick them out of the game? And that's where the article points to. He's directly talking about the Thunder and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander without calling out Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Yeah. And I love this. This is great.
At least he admits he's a bad actor. Like, he admits he's like, I can't do it. I can't sell a foul.
It's fair.
Doesn't mean he wouldn't if he could. He just can't do it. And it's like, you're right. He says it. Some people are doing it, and they can get away with it. He can't do it, and he doesn't want to get away with it. And that's good. I mean, it goes back to, like, these guys, I don't know if they learned it from European soccer, but that's how you see it all the time in European soccer. Guys get slid into and they go down, and we see it all the time. You'll see it this summer with the World Cup, when flopping happens in the World Cup, and the European soccer players will fall down and start crying and screaming and whatever it is, and then as soon as the yellow card comes up, they'll get up and start walking away like it's nothing.
Yes, right. In European soccer, you can receive a yellow card for exaggerating your injury and or foul.
Yeah.
So if someone slides into you and you're rolling around on the ground like you're Neymar, rolling down the entire pitch, and everyone remembers that from the World Cup a couple years ago, the Neymar, where he does like 6 somersaults after being lightly looked at. Like, no one made contact with him. He just went spiraling down the pitch.
Finding players for flopping?
So they've done that, but also in this article in GQ, they reference the soccer thing where you could give the yellow card to players who are exaggerating, and like wondering if they should do that in the NBA. On DraftKings right now for MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the favorite. Nikola Jokic is the second favorite at plus 320. Cade Cunningham is third at plus 500. Victor Wembanyama is plus 2,200. Luka Doncic is at plus 3,000. The one thing I would say with Victor Wembanyama, you might say that that's a good value pick, and that's the guy that should win the MVP. I believe if he misses 2 more games, he doesn't qualify, because you have to hit that threshold.
It was 2 games.
So Wembanyama is up against the threshold for games missed. So that's why I think the odds are where they're at for Wembanyama, because I think most people would assume at some point he's going to miss more games this season. But Cade Cunningham and the Pistons, number 1 in the East, 3rd in the odds to win MVP. I kind of like that. Abdalla.
Okay. What else did you read? Did you read how Zone 2 cardio is trending?
What, in GQ?
In Gentleman's Quarterly?
No,
Did you read
It's
how...
the only article I clicked on GQ.
How magnesium can help with migraines?
Could it? Do you battle migraines? Is that something you deal with?
I'm reading different articles. Did you read about the Jacob Elordi's latest sunglasses?
Okay. No, but did you see the hot rumor with what's his name? Jacob Elordi?
Jacob Elordi.
Have you seen the hot rumor?
Is he
Do you know the hot rumor with him?
Is he He's Wuthering Heights, right?
Yeah, with Margot Robbie.
Okay,
the two of them.
Yes.
It's like it's softcore, right? Like the film.
It's pretty
from
core.
what
It's a core, all right.
From what I've seen online of the two of them in the backseat of a car, right?
Like
it's gets hot and
I don't
heavy.
know if they have cars then.
No, they're in a vehicle.
Oh, they're in a car?
Yeah, I believe so. Maybe a carriage.
Okay.
Is that the case?
Perhaps.
Have you seen the hot rumor?
The hot
with him?
goss? No.
What's his name? Elordi?
Jacob.
There's rumors that he might be the next James Bond.
Oh, yes, I did see that. Yeah. Yeah, I think he's a little tall to be Bond.
Is he?
I think he's a little tall to be Bond.
Bond has to be short?
Bond seems like a small man to me, a shorter man than him.
Trade options for Max Crosby. We talk NFL with you next.
This is Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
This is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Happy Friday. It's Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. You can also listen to us on SiriusXM Channel 375 and all of our great radio affiliates across the country. It's Bleck and Abdalla, noon to 3 Eastern each and every day with you. Jim Rome is coming up at 3 Eastern right here on Westwood One Sports. Broadcasting live from Chicago, I'm Chris Bleck along with Adam Abdalla. And on a Friday, as always, it's all calls welcome with Bleck and Abdalla. We take all kinds of phone calls on Fridays. We encourage it. We look for your participation, and you can join us at 310-840-4910. Next week is the NFL Combine, Abdalla, and as we set our sights on Indy and what will take place next week, the general managers will get together. You'll hear from all of them next week talking about their outlook for the draft. All of the players participating, looking to get drafted, will be there working out at the Combine. And there will be a lot of conversation about possible moves here in the offseason. And I think the number one name and storyline that we'll have our eyes on next week will be any new developments with Max Crosby and the Las Vegas Raiders. Whether or not the Raiders are shopping Crosby, if they're looking to find teams with the right package to offer picks and other players. I think a lot of that is going to be the lead of conversation next week at the Combine with Max Crosby and the Raiders when we get to Indy next week.
Well, we'll be exactly 2 months away from the NFL draft, and that gives you exactly 2 months until the Raiders will want a plethora of picks or a player or a combination of the two for Max Crosby. And it might be a combination of the two or a bunch of picks. And they want to take advantage of that for Max Crosby right away. If you're rebuilding this team, if you're going through a rebuild from scratch here and you're drafting your quarterback, number 1 overall in Fernando Mendoza, and you've decided to go through a full rebuild here, you had the worst offensive line in the NFL. Ashton Genty, the running back you drafted last year, was hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any running back in the NFL. That's not how you support a quarterback. That's not how you support a running back that you drafted high last year. So you need new offensive linemen. And you can either sign guys that are off the scrap heap, because if good offensive linemen are hard to find, because normally teams spend money on re-signing them because you don't let go of good offensive linemen. And so you can find guys like that, or you build through the draft. And if you want to do that, you let Max Crosby go, you trade him, you get a bunch of first-round picks back, whether that's 1 first-round pick, 2 first-round picks, or 1 first-round pick and a player, 2 first-round picks, 3 first-round picks, as much as you can get. But it's time for the Raiders to say goodbye to Max Crosby. And next week is when all the GMs will be in the same place, all the coaches will be in the same place, all the front office people will be in Indianapolis for the combine at St. Elmo's eating that shrimp cocktail that's too hot. The hot sauce is too hot, Chris. It's too hot.
Temperature?
It's too hot. It does something to your nose.
So it's not temperature.
It's not temperature hot. It does something. It's the horseradish. It does something to your nose.
It gets you.
It gets you,
It's
man. I'm
heat.
telling you. And that's when you have to put your best deal in front of the Raiders, right when they're getting in that horseradish, right when they're getting in the cocktail sauce.
Can you say that on the radio?
Right when they're getting in the cocktail sauce, that's when you have to put your best deal in front of the Raiders. And that's probably, I don't think a deal will get done for Max Crosby then, but that's when we'll start hearing about deals for Max Crosby and potential. I would believe that the Raiders are open for business.
I would guess so too. And on ESPN.com today, they have an article posted with various NFL experts and reporters. And the title of the article is In the NFL Offseason, Trade Offers for Raiders Max Crosby. 4 potential teams that can make a deal for Crosby. So they go through the latest information with Max Crosby, why the Raiders may want to keep him, why it would be beneficial for the Raiders to move on from Crosby. An interesting part of the conversation that I don't think you and I have talked about enough in this story is that obviously you move Crosby to build up draft capital, but also if the Raiders were able to move Max Crosby, the Raiders would have a dead cap hit of $5.1 million, but they would save $30.6 million on the salary cap. So there really isn't much incentive to keep Max Crosby unless the Raiders think that they're going to be really good really fast. And he's going to be, quote, a Raider for life. And he's going to be there in the silver and in the black. He's going to be there and be their franchise face for the next 5 or 6 years until Mendoza turns into that guy. That's the only reason you keep him. You get back draft picks, you save on the salary cap, and you kind of start everything fresh. That would make the most sense. So here are the trade offers that are listed by various people on ESPN.com today. The 4 hypothetical trade offers. The first one's from Jeremy Fowler. Does a good job reporting on the NFL. It's a trade with the Chicago Bears. The Raiders would get wide receiver DJ Moore, a 2026 first-round pick, so the Bears have the 25th overall pick. It would be that pick. And they would also receive a 2027 third-round pick. The Bears would get back Crosby. That's it. So that's the first trade. I also think that this is the trade that's been out there the most. That's the trade that was rumored. When we were at the Super Bowl, this is the hot goss behind the scenes.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about the Raiders and the Bears pairing up to trade DJ Moore for Max Crosby. So this is the trade that's been out there the longest that people are speculating about.
Yeah, and DJ Moore signed an extension with the Bears through 2029, so he's locked up for the next 4 years, 26, 27, 28, and 29. Now there is an out after 2027. So if you want to get out of the DJ Moore contract after 2 years, it would only be a dead cap hit of $4 million. So this could be, you could look at this if you're the Raiders as a 2-year deal for DJ Moore. You could be trading for this. It's not a big blow to your cap hit. You could trade this. You could get 1 first-round pick if you wanted to. DJ Moore's 28 years old. He's not very old. He's a very reliable receiver. He's a veteran. He could help Fernando Mendoza a lot. You've already got some decent weapons with the Raiders, and then you get to draft another offensive lineman. You would have 2 first-round picks. One would be Fernando Mendoza. The other, you would presume, would be an offensive lineman at 25, and then you can get another with your second-round pick. You could draft an edge rusher if you wanted to replace Max Crosby, and then you just start your rebuild, and you surround Fernando Mendoza with another weapon, and you start building up your offensive line. But this, because of the other deals, this already comes with a built-in contract for DJ Moore, because the other deals that are going to be featured do not. Some of them do.
So in this article, they go on to the next option, the next team that could be a possible fit for the Raiders, and that team is the Dallas Cowboys. Dan Graziano puts together an offer. The Raiders would get wide receiver George Pickens. They would get a 2026 first-round pick, and it would be the pick is number 20. That is the second of 2 first-round picks that the Cowboys have this season. So the 20th pick in this year's draft and George Pickens to the Raiders. The Cowboys would receive Crosby, and they would also receive a 2026 second-round pick in return as well. So this offer on the table by Graziano suggesting that the Cowboys would franchise tag George Pickens, and then after tagging Pickens, they would then deal him to the Raiders with the expectation that the Raiders would give Pickens a long-term deal to be their wide receiver one for the future, and the Cowboys would get a pass rusher that they so desperately need to add to their defense, the worst defense in football. This move, to me, I think makes the most sense.
It does on paper because you get a higher pick than the Bears pick. You also get a much younger and better wide receiver in George Pickens. The only problem is it's George Pickens. You have to negotiate a deal with him. Does he want to play for a team that is not going to be doing any winning in the near future? Does he want to tie himself for the long term with a franchise that might not be doing any winning in the next 4 years or so? Does he want to, because he's on the franchise tag, when they do trade him, does he hold out? Does he not sign a long-term deal? Like, obviously, you're not going to do that trade unless he agrees to sign a contract, but you don't know if he's going to sign a contract. So you can trade him all you want to, but you don't know if he's going to. It's very risky to trade that player and then presume he's going to sign a contract. Like, there have been trades before where teams have traded a player, and then he doesn't end up signing the contract, and the team just has to release that player, and it's a failed trade because that team didn't end up signing that player, and you just traded away a player and got nothing in return. So I would be careful with this one, just because it's going to cost you a lot more money than the DJ Moore trade, and you don't know if George Pickens wants to play with the Raiders.
So there's 4 options here for trades to make with Max Crosby. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. If you want to join us, you can call us on this beautiful Friday at 310-840-4910. All right, the third option, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Ben Solak offers up that the Raiders would receive wide receiver Chris Godwin. They would get a 2026 first-round pick, 15th overall. And they would also receive a 2027 second-round pick. The Buccaneers would get in return Max Crosby and a 5th-round pick in 2027. If you want to talk about draft assets attached to a deal for Crosby, this is your best bet. I don't know if Godwin is the best player in the conversation with Pickens and DJ Moore, but getting back a first-round pick, 15 overall, and a second-round pick in 2027, that's the best trade as far as draft capital coming back for Max Crosby.
No, he's the worst option out of the 3 because he played in 9 games last year. He only had 2 touchdowns. He had 360 yards.
Yeah.
He's the oldest
But
player.
You do this deal for the draft capital.
Yeah, exactly. This is a throw-in player who is a veteran, obviously. If he plays the entire season. I mean, he played 7 games the year before in 2024, so he hasn't been healthy the last 2 years. So I would say that if with this deal, yes, the pick is higher, but can you get the same caliber of player that you want with the Cowboys pick? Like, is 5 spots going to be that much for you? Like, are you willing to move 5 spots down and get George Pickens if you don't want this pick? You know, is whatever else Tampa's going to throw in a better option than getting George Pickens? This, to me, is the worst of the 3 options. Well,
and then you got the 4th option. Seth Walder offers up the Chargers. The Raiders and the Chargers would make the trade. The Raiders would get back a 2nd-round pick in 2026, a 6th-round pick in 26, and a 5th-round pick in 27. The Chargers would get Crosby. The article points out that the Raiders would, I think it's worded as they would bristle at the notion of trading away their star within the division. I agree. I don't see 2 teams within the same division trading a star player like that. Usually that does not happen in the NFL. So that's one. And also, that draft capital is by far the worst of the options that are also given within the column. So this column puts it all together. So you got the Chargers, the Bucks, the Cowboys, and the Bears. They also give a final verdict, which option is the best. And they list on ESPN.com as the Cowboys offer with Pickens and that first-round pick, the 20th overall pick, that's the best option for the Raiders to make a deal. So now we turn into Bleck and Abdalla. What's our verdict? Abdalla, what's your verdict? What's the best option? If these were the options on the table for this deal, what would you say is the best option?
As long as Pickens is willing to sign a deal and you give him a bunch of money and wants to be a Raider, that's the best deal because you get a first-round pick that's number 20 overall, and you get a younger and better wide receiver than DJ Moore. The Bucs deal isn't good because Godwin's not a good wide receiver. He's been injured. He hasn't played a lot.
Well, you say it's not good, but it's a higher first-round pick and a second-round pick.
Okay, in 27.
It's still a second-round pick.
I understand that, but I would rather have George Pickens than Godwin.
That's true. The player is a better player in the Cowboys option.
Yeah, it is. And then with DJ Moore, he's older than George Pickens, and so I'm getting a younger and better player. I understand that I have to pay him, but these two players can grow together. Obviously, Pickens is on his second contract, so he's older than Mendoza, but I still think it's a better deal.
I think Chicago, of the three teams, they have the worst package to offer, if that's what is being offered, right? This is all hypothetical on ESPN.com, and they gave these experts, who are NFL reporters, the ability to create a package. Of those packages, Chicago has the worst of the three, with Tampa Bay and Dallas. And you and I were talking about this earlier in the week, that when you look at the teams that need a pass rusher this season, in the offseason, Chicago, Dallas, Tampa, they were all on the list that we were talking about. There's 11 teams where the number one need is pass rusher.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously, all teams need more pass rushers, right? Like, you can never have enough pass rushers. But as your top need, you have teams like Carolina, Cincinnati, Indy, Kansas City, New England, San Francisco, Tennessee, Washington, and then the three we mentioned, Chicago, Dallas, and Tampa. And of those three that need a pass rusher who could offer something to the Vegas Raiders, I'm guessing Chicago, if they want to get that done, they are going to have to add an additional pick.
Yeah.
They're not going to be able to just get it done with the one first-round pick and DJ Moore. They're going to have to add a second-rounder somewhere, maybe next year or somewhere in the future.
I would say if Chicago put in the 2026 this year's first-round pick, this year's third-round pick, and next year's second-round pick.
That would get it done. I think that's way too much.
That's too much?
I think that's too much. Because are you including DJ Moore?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much. So just give me one additional pick, and I think that could top what the Cowboys.
Well, you already have two picks in there. You have
or the Bucs could offer.
You have a first-round pick and a third-round pick. So you're already giving away two picks. I would just move that third-round pick to a second-round pick in 27 and do that. You're getting a first and a second and DJ Moore.
So on ESPN television earlier today, Mike Tannenbaum was on talking about the Raiders, their options, and what they should do with Max Crosby.
The Raiders, I'm drafting Fernando Mendoza, who I love. I think he'll be a great player, but I'm not necessarily playing him on opening day. We still got Geno Smith. And when you look at the division and you say Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, and oh, by the way, the Broncos were the team that were almost in the Super Bowl. We have a lot of holes to fill. You got to fix the offensive line, to me, to really think about playing the quarterback. So if I can move on from Max Crosby and get multiple high picks, even though he's a great culture and tone setter, you really got to consider it.
So there you go. Consider moving Max Crosby for picks, and I think that is the smart thing for the Raiders.
Oh, I'm not even considering it. It's done. Like, in my mind, if I'm the Raiders, it's a done deal. Like, I'm going into next week at the Combine, and it's open for business. I'm telling every GM, I'm not necessarily saying it out loud to the media when it's asked, and it's like, well, we love the player. I'll play that game. But behind the scenes, to every GM that I talk to, it's bring me your best offer.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Adam Silver has messed up the NBA once again. We'll tell you about it next.
Number 4, Arizona. Number 2, Houston. A top 5 showdown with March-level intensity. Tomorrow at 3 Eastern on Westwood One and the Westwood One Sports app.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Over the last couple of years, it feels like every single thing that Adam Silver touches with the NBA leads to a worse product for the league. It does not seem like the league is thriving. It should be. They've got good young teams. There's a lot of different stars to follow. But Adam Silver and the decisions that they've made from the league office to try and manipulate, fix, look for younger eyeballs and be where the young people are at, every piece of tinkering with the game has turned into a negative outcome with the league. And the latest this season is this idea that we have now gotten to a point with teams who are aware of the idea of tanking in the league, and that if your record is not good, you have a great chance to land a great player coming up in the next draft. And what they did in 2019 is they smoothed the top of the odds as far as the worst teams in the league. And so this season, the worst teams in the NBA, you have Sacramento, Indiana, New Orleans, but the New Orleans pick will go to Atlanta. It was traded. So Atlanta is sitting pretty because the Pelicans are sitting there at 15-41 this season. And then Brooklyn. Those are the four worst teams in the league. Those three top teams at the bottom of the barrel in the NBA, they each have a 14% chance at the number one pick.
Mm-hmm.
That fourth team, Brooklyn, is at 11.5. Washington, fifth, 11.5. So they've smoothed the top of the odds for the NBA draft, which has now turned into this race where instead of trying to be the worst team in the NBA, now you have teams in the middle who are just trying to be bad enough to get better lottery odds for the NBA draft. And that's why tanking is such an epidemic this year and why everyone's talking about it, is because of a decision Adam Silver and the league office made to change the odds in the first place for the NBA draft. This year's draft class is going to be great. So you don't have to be the worst team. You don't have to have the number one pick. If you get a top 6 pick, you're going to get a great player this year in the NBA draft. So that's why we have the current situation that we have. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports and the Westwood One Sports app. Yesterday, there was a story from ESPN.com, Shams Charania, saying that Adam Silver has alerted the 30 general managers around the NBA that there are plans this offseason to put in anti-tanking rules for next season. And a source with knowledge of the conversation, said that these are some of the concepts that are being discussed to curb tanking in the NBA. First idea, first-round draft picks could be protected only for top 4 or top 14 plus selections. Lottery odds could freeze at the trade deadline or a later date. No longer allowing teams to pick in the top 4 in consecutive years and or in consecutive bottom 3 finishes. Teams can't pick in the top 4 year after making the conference finals. The lottery odds allocated based on 2-year records. So if you're bad for 2 years in a row, then you could get perhaps the number one pick. The lottery odds extended to include all play-in teams. So the teams in the play-in would also get odds at the lottery. And then the final idea would be flattening the odds for all lottery teams. The final idea is the best idea. If you flatten the odds to be equal for all 14 teams in the lottery, I think that eliminates the tanking. That's the issue. The issue right now is the middle trying to lose enough to increase their odds. But if the middle doesn't have to do anything to increase their odds, then why would they tank?
I think that would lead to more of a problem because then you have teams that just don't have to try because they know, well, we could get the number one pick. Why try? Like, why field a team that's competitive because we have the same odds as the team that's not trying? That's trying. Like, if we have a team that's trying that doesn't make the playoffs, we have the same chance as a team that's not trying. You have bad owners all over the place.
Which teams are not trying in this world? If you flatten the odds...
There's a lot of teams that aren't trying.
Yeah, but that's not going to be based on artificial suppression. That's just going to be based on bad basketball.
No, I get that.
There's always going to be bad teams.
I get that.
But there's a difference between a team artificially holding players out like the Utah Jazz are, what they're doing this season.
Yeah.
And a team like the Indiana Pacers, where their best player is out for the year, and they're just bad. The Pacers are just bad this year.
And that doesn't solve the problem of a team that's really bad and trying to get better. Like, that doesn't solve the problem of, like, the Cavs, who were just really, really bad and got LeBron, and then they were great, and they won. You know, that doesn't solve the problem of the teams if the Pacers get the number 1 pick, then they come back next year and they are fully healthy and they have the best player from the draft. That's just luck this year. They weren't trying to tank. Now, if the Jazz get it or the Wizards get it, that's because they were tanking, and games like yesterday where the Wizards were leading and then they pulled all their starters.
Yep.
Now, they still won the game, but they were trying to lose that game. Stuff like that, like when things like that happen, that's when Adam Silver needs to step in and find those teams and punish those teams. Like, the system isn't broken. The punishments aren't enough. Slapping a team on the wrist with $100,000 and $500,000 like he did last week, that's nothing to an NBA team. That's couch change and people don't even use change anymore. So it's literally nothing to an NBA team.
It's couch nothing.
It's literally nothing. It's when going to a McDonald's and they ask you to round up for the Ronald McDonald House charity.
I don't want to do that.
And you're just like, sure. Like,
I'll give the charities, but I don't want to do it at the fast food drive-in.
Cents, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's.
Do you really do that?
No, I'm just. It's what they offer. It's that to them. It's nothing.
Do you believe that they're
nothing.
giving it?
It doesn't matter. It's that.
Conspiracy theory, Abdalla.
They could be. They could be. I don't know.
I don't know.
That's all.
I don't know.
That's a karma thing. If they're not, that's bad karma on them.
Yes.
If you find them a legitimate amount of money, or you go to them and you say, hey, guess what, Wizards? Like, strike one. Next time it happens, guess what? You don't draft this year. Simple as that. If we catch it, here's your first verbal warning. If it happens again, you're not drafting this year. And that's what stops it. The lottery is fine. The lottery is a fine system. It's worked for a lot of teams that have come out of being very bad, and they've turned their teams around, and they've been competitive. It's worked. But if you purposely are tanking in games and you're winning in games and you pull your players at the end of games, that's what should be punished. That's not fair to fans. And I don't even think that that's still not what the biggest problem in the NBA is. The biggest problem in the NBA is still this load management and stars not playing. Like, who cares if guys that were in the Rising Stars game were pulled in a game against the Pacers? It's the Wizards and the Pacers, for God's sake. Who cares about that game?
It's must-see TV on a Thursday.
Oh, my God. Who cares about that game?
Did you read through the entire article on ESPN.com about this? Do you see 2 paragraphs below the list of the options that they talked about? Do you see who sources say spoke at the meeting on Thursday to the GMs?
No. Who did?
Coach K.
Okay.
Senior advisor to basketball operations for the league office. Coach K. I'm Duke. I'm here to speak to all of the GMs.
What does he care?
I'm Duke. And the sources say in the meeting that Coach K suggested that there should be a prompt and tasteful attack on the problem. So Coach K also always sitting on the bench, not too far from John Shire. Because Coach K still wants to make it about him at Duke. So he's not too far from the bench, because at any moment he might push Shire out of the way. I'm taking over. It's my court. I'm Coach K. I'm going to coach Duke. I'm Duke.
What does he care about tanking?
Do you see that? You see the paragraph? Coach
yes,
K,
I see it now,
senior advisor to basketball operations for the league office, delivered a message on the attack of tanking in the NBA.
What does he care?
I'm Duke.
What does that matter to him? Who cares? Why do
you
you care?
retire. Go do something else.
There's 1,000 beaches.
Go fish.
Across this great land of ours.
Play golf.
Sit on one.
Go garden. Could you imagine Coach K in your garden? Gardening with his green thumb?
I've got these great radishes. I'm Duke.
I'm Duke.
I've got a radish. What's your major?
I want to speak to all of the GMs in the National Basketball Association. I'm Duke.
What's your crop today? I've got cucumbers.
It's great. I saw that in the article, and I was like, "Wait, really?" Coach K spoke to other people in the league about this issue.
He's got like one of those pads because his knees are bad.
Yeah, right.
Like, it's
hunched over with the little the little
shears.
shovel.
Yeah.
What is that little thin skinny shovel thing?
Digger thing. I don't know. It's like they dig with it. I don't know.
I'm Coach K.
I'm Duke.
John, move over. I'm taking over. This team could win a title.
I'm got
All
some
right.
great jalapenos.
We gotta be serious here on the program. Bleck, great jalapenos.
Yeah, he's cooking jalapenos. He's growing up some jalapenos.
You know, I had jalapenos in my garden last year.
That's what made me think of it. You and Coach K can compare.
See, yes,
jalapenos.
I bet you Raj and Lauren did not know that I garden. I bet they didn't know that I have a garden. That Bleck has a garden. I'm looking forward to it coming back when the summer comes around here in Chicago.
I'm just
can't wait.
Keep my mouth shut.
What are you going to say to that? You got something to say? Silence from Abdalla.
No one wants your jalapenos.
I grew jalapenos last year. They were tasty.
I'm sure
They
were.
were very good.
I'm sure they were.
Did you know, one last fun fact, jalapenos have gotten milder over time?
Yeah, you say that to everybody when you bring up. That's the only reason that you chose to grow jalapenos is so you could tell people. I feel like
the product has been diluted.
I feel like you found out that fact
and then I grew them.
Decided to grow jalapenos just so you could tell people that fact. It's like when you go to a new workplace and everybody's like, "We're gonna have an icebreaker." What's the one fact you know? It's the one thing you know. It's the one thing.
It is the one fun fact that I.
That's all you know.
You're right. Correct. What's your fun fact?
That you also read Gentleman's Quarterly.
No, I just saw an article talking about Kate Cunningham.
Okay.
That's it.
I'm gonna because if
you don't have a fun fact.
No, here's the thing: when we start going in alphabetical order for these new workplace things, I'm gonna start taking that fact because guess what? Abdalla before Bleck.
Oh, okay.
And that's gonna be my fun fact.
So you just don't have a fact. That's the key. That's the key of this story.
No, my fun fact is a musical fun fact. My fun fact is that when Led Zeppelin plays "When the Levee Breaks" and that drum beat is actually it's not two drum beats, it's an echo because they hit the drums in the entryway to a gigantic mansion, and it's actually the echo of the drum going back into the microphone.
We have bold predictions for the NFL Combine here on Westwood One Sports. That's next.
The NFL franchise tag window is open with free agency starting within weeks. If it happens between now and kickoff, we'll tell you what you need to know on Westwood One Sports.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute, 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 1 minute. Stations, this is your final time check. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 30 seconds.
is Bleck and Abdalla on Westwood One Sports. Here's Chris Bleck and Adam Abdalla.
Jim Rome is coming up in 19 minutes right here on Westwood One Sports. I'm Chris Bleck along with Adam Abdalla. Make sure you check out our podcast on Apple, Spotify, and Odyssey, wherever you get your podcasts. You can also listen and watch Bleck and Abdalla on our YouTube channel. Bleck and Abdalla Show on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe. New content is posted daily. And we also have the live broadcast of the show right there on our YouTube channel, Bleck and Abdalla Show. Like and subscribe today. Thanks to Raj and Laura for producing today's show, Bleck and Abdalla. Noon to 3 Eastern. We'll be back on Monday at noon Eastern right here on Westwood One Sports. Next week is the NFL Combine. And Abdalla, as we set our sights on next week in the NFL Combine and everything that's going to take place down there in Indianapolis, do you have a bold prediction of something that will take place next week? I've got a bold prediction. Do you have a bold prediction for next week?
My bold prediction is that we will get news about Tua Tagovailoa. I think that we will get some form of, not necessarily a trade, but information on a forthcoming trade, that they're listening to trades, that he's cut, or something about Tua Tagovailoa. We will get news about that.
And I think that that's a good, bold prediction to look at, because this week we've talked about the fact that the Miami Dolphins have kind of been vague. Now, it was reported a week ago that the Dolphins want to trade Tua, but then publicly facing Jeff Hafley and the new front office, they haven't necessarily said that. And it kind of feels like Tua's like out there dangling in the unknown on whether or not he's going to be back, if they're going to move him, what the next step is. So that's a good one. Whether or not we will get information on Tua Tagovailoa next week. I think my bold prediction for next week at the NFL Draft Combine will be this. There's going to be a quarterback who is not a first-round talented quarterback who his stock will rise, and people will then be talking about the following week that quarterback is now a first-round quarterback based on performance, interview, something that takes place at the Combine next week. I find it hard to believe that we are going to go through the next 2 months of NFL draft prep with only one quarterback sitting at the top of the first round, and that's it. I think what will happen next week is somebody, Ty Simpson, Carson Beck, somebody will have a, quote, great interview, right, with a team. And then all the conversation will be about, can this guy rise into the top of the first round of the draft? And I think that's going to happen because it happens each and every year.
Yeah.
And even though this is a softer quarterback class as far as projecting out top-level quarterbacks, I think that's going to happen next week. Someone from the group of others who's not Fernando Mendoza, they're going to be projected after next week at the Combine as a first-round draft pick.
I think that someone will move up. Their draft stock will move up. But I don't know how high you can draft a quarterback that's not Fernando Mendoza because you have to pay them a lot of money, and there aren't a lot of teams that need a quarterback that are past the first 3 picks. Like the Steelers need one, but they don't need one to start because we all kind of assume that Aaron Rodgers is going to come back and play for the Steelers. Now, if he doesn't, then does Mike McCarthy believe in Will Howard enough to roll him out there and start? Does Mason Rudolph start for the first half of the season and then Will Howard comes in and plays? Do they draft Ty Simpson at 21? That seems a little high. What teams like about the first round is the 5th-year option. Now, it does take a lot to trade back into the first round just to take one of no disrespect, but these guys. Like
one of these guys.
Like, is it really worth
saying it like that is disrespectful.
I mean,
one of these guys.
Fine. Disrespect meant. Like, are you really giving up extra draft capital for these guys? Like,
no, but there are teams who have first round picks who may overvalue the players and they may want to take a quarterback.
But to just sit for a couple years.
There are teams that may do that.
You know, like the Rams need a plan after Stafford. Are you moving into the first round to take Ty Simpson for a plan after Stafford?
But here's a perfect example of a team that I could see convincing themselves of a quarterback who's not the number one quarterback. Miami at 11. That would make sense to me if they were off their rocker and they wanted to convince themselves of a quarterback. How about the Jets? Not their first pick in the first round at 2, but the Jets have the 16th pick. Could they use the 16th pick on a quarterback and convince themselves that that might be the right thing? I think there's a lot of things like that. You're right. I don't think anyone's trading into the first round to take any of these guys. These guys, as Abdalla said, with the ultimate level of disrespect. But I do think that teams like that, in those type of situations, who maybe have an extra first-round pick or they're not in the top 5 or 10, they may convince themselves because they need a quarter. I mean, we've talked about it the last couple of weeks. What the hell's Cleveland doing? I mean, could Cleveland take another quarterback, another lottery ticket?
No.
But they have the 24th pick. It's a pick that was Jacksonville's before. Could they use that pick, trade that to someone, and someone swaps in there at 24 and takes a quarterback? So I think there's some options to keep our eyes on with the NFL Combine next week, and we'll cover it all right here on Bleck and Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Did you see this story this week? Are you a boneless wing fan? Abdalla, are you a big fan of boneless wings?
Do I like nuggets?
Chicken nuggets?
Yeah.
There's a story this week because a judge is allowing Buffalo Wild Wings to keep the name boneless chicken on the menu, even though they are not actually chicken wings. They're essentially chicken nuggets.
Yeah.
So the story is from NBC News, and the question is, are boneless wings any different than chicken nuggets? A federal judge weighed in on Tuesday with a lawsuit against Buffalo Wild Wings. In a 10-page ruling, a U.S. district judge in Illinois said that the sports bar franchise can continue to call its popular menu item, quote, boneless wings, even though they are, quote, essentially chicken nuggets. A wing lover in Illinois filed a lawsuit in March claiming violations of the Illinois Consumer Fraud Act over Buffalo Wild Wings calling them boneless wings instead of chicken nuggets. He wanted boneless wings. He wanted someone to remove the bones from wings.
What are we doing here?
Well, I mean, clearly.
What are we doing here?
This guy thought
lawsuit?
he thought he was going to accomplish something with this. We all know they're chicken nuggets.
You thought you were going to pull one over here?
Yes.
What are we doing here?
That's what he thought.
What are we doing here?
He didn't win. The judge didn't agree with him.
Jail
for that guy?
Jail for that guy. Trying to wasting my time.
Now, full disclosure.
Wasting my time.
I'm a wing guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a chicken nugget guy.
I like nuggets. I like wings.
Like it is
There's a time and a place.
It is funny that there is a bit of a difference when, like, okay, here it is, right? You're sitting down, you're with friends, you're at a bar, and the options are wings, chicken nuggets, or chicken tenders. Wings are okay to order.
Mm-hmm.
Chicken tenders are okay to order. But if you're with a bunch of guys and you order chicken nuggets, it's like those are for kids.
Why not? Whoa. In what world? It's chicken.
In the world.
Why?
In our world, the world we live in.
Why? Why can't you order nugs for the boys?
You could, but what I'm saying is it's more socially acceptable to order the chicken strip.
Not in the America I want to live in.
Or the bone-in wing.
Not when I'm president.
So well, are you running for president?
We'll see.
We'll see. Is this like Stephen A. Smith also? You and him are going to decide later?
My platform is going to be nuggets, nugs for the boys.
Nuggets for the boys?
Nugs for the boys. Okay. Nugs for the boys.
Because
it could be any kind of nug. We don't know. Nugs for the boys.
I don't know. To me, there's like I don't think people pass the same judgment on those who order a chicken strip over chicken nuggets.
But nuggets, they're just one at a time. A strip's an endeavor.
But it's all the same meat.
But here's the thing, though.
Same meat.
But here's the thing. A strip has a double dip component to it. A nug is one dip.
Not necessarily. You can cut them.
If we're
you
sharing,
can slice. You can cut.
That's so much more work. If I'm out with the boys and we're watching games,
and
I get to order a nugs and an assortment of sauces, that's one dip per nug. If I get strips, then I got to bring a plate into this. I got to pour some sauces onto a plate.
Oh, you could be a man and just hold it in one hand.
Then I only get one. Then I only get one dip.
No.
Then I get one dip.
Flip it. Other end into the dip. Second dip.
Now we're flipping?
Yeah.
Now we're flipping?
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. You're wild.
I would prefer the wings. I'm going to stick with the bone in the wings.
You're patient zero over here. We're flipping now?
Yeah.
No.
Bone in wings is the way to go.
Nugs for the boys.
Let's be real. Get a normal wing.
That's fine.
Get the wing.
But I think you're besmirching how well nugs would go for everybody.
What do you do in a situation where someone introduces the chicken fry? Have you seen this?
It's kind of the same as a nug.
Well, Burger King has the chicken fry.
Okay.
And it's an individual fry.
I can eat a fry.
Chicken.
I can eat a fry in one bite. I can eat a chicken fry. I can eat a chicken fry in one bite.
Right. So you would put that ahead of the strip. So you're just bothered by the strip.
I just think
this isn't a bone or bone in situation, right?
I think if we're sharing in a group situation, size matters.
Gonna let that breathe for a second. So Laura and Raj can get that clip for later.
If we're sharing
Continue
in a
on,
group,
yes. If we're sharing in a group, yes, size matters. That's weird. That's your personal situation.
Exactly. And if I want one dip per thing, and so a nug gives me one dip, a strip, one dip per strip. It even rhymes.
It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Before we go and hand it off to Jim Rome, let's get one last Olympic update as the Milano Cortina Olympics, the 35th Winter Olympiad, will wrap up this weekend. Sunday, the closing ceremonies. When we talked about the hockey game earlier. Canada beat Finland in that contest, so they move on to the championship game. We'll see if the U.S. can match them. Abdalla, and I don't think the U.S. is going to catch Norway in the medal count.
No. Norway set a record for number of golds at this Winter Olympics, so congrats to them. I mean, it's like cold all the time there, so like it's not a surprise.
Total medal count, Norway with 37, the U.S. with 27, and Italy with 26. Now, the Winter Olympics are closing down, and one of the major stories that we've had over the last 2 weeks was this shortage of condoms in the Olympic Village.
Oh.
New update, they got more condoms.
Oh, just in time for it to end.
Yes, for everyone to go home.
Celebrate. To celebrate.
Do people hang around for the closing ceremonies?
Yeah, I think so. You want to, because you walk out, right? Everybody walks in, and then everybody walks out.
Yeah, but if you participate in the first week, don't you just dip?
Probably,
get out of there?
Probably, but like if you're on the men's hockey team, I would assume like you're sticking around.
Well, yes, you hope you play.
It's the end.
Isn't the game on Sunday?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like if you're the women's hockey team and you won yesterday, you leave. You're sticking around, so you just the closing ceremonies.
And shout out to the winner of the Olympics, the drones. The drones were great.
Okay.
The drones were fantastic in these Olympics. It's Bleck Abdalla here on Westwood One Sports. Jim Rome is coming up next.
This is Westwood One Sports.